Grace and peace to you. This is yours truly, Bishop Bowser, coming at you once again. You know, this is Black History Month, and one of my focus is on all these black deaths, black homicides, right? There was a story that came out by Brady's, and they shared a study that they've done in regards to black people and guns, and 60% of gun violence or gun homicides were black people. 60%. And especially among our young people, and we've seen a lot of death and a lot of gun violence. And when I was looking at this, I started thinking and wondering, when did this problem start, right? And I started looking at gun violence in the black community, throughout the history, since blacks been out of slavery. And gun violence actually has always been an issue and a problem in the black community. But before the 70s, we also had a lot of issues with racial discrimination, racial violence against us, segregation, racial hate, and all those type of things, lynchings and so on. So black people did, have to deal with that more than they had to deal with the killings among themselves. But there were high rates of gun violence and gun homicides among blacks in the black community committed by blacks than it was in the white communities, right? Even though we had other issues. But when you get to the 70s, that's when we start seeing a shift in the change as far as not so much lynchings and racial violence from whites and so on, but it's more so the drugs that came into the community and gangs, the proliferation of gangs, especially in some of these major cities where you see a lot of violence and homicides and gang violence. That started happening. Gun violence started happening among drugs and gangs in the 70s. And then, of course, in the 80s and the 90s, it escalated, right? It began to peak around the early 90s. And even though it's gone down, it's still too high among blacks when you compare that to other races like white, black, brown, or Hispanic races and versus black race. We are disproportionately killing each other, even up till today. And so, one of the things I was thinking about when I was looking at this is, a lot of times when violence goes down, everyone wants to take the credit. When I talk about gun violence and violence among gangs or in the black community, you have a lot of people out there that will try to take the credit, and, they want to take the credit, but they have no data, they have no stories, they have no facts to back up what they're saying. So it's easy to take that credit, but the bottom line is that violence is dropping everywhere. It did start rising during the pandemic in 2020 for various reasons, right? Various reasons that was happening during that time with the protests of George Floyd and with the lockdowns because of COVID and so on. There was all type of other reasons, and also some of the things that were already happening before 2020 and COVID hit and so on. But one of the things that, I look at and I want to challenge people on during this Black History Month is that, let us not just try to look at this, there's been no shootings, nobody got shot, I did that, and want to take the credit. The bottom line is that how many lives are changed, right? And the thing that I look at is, I look at a lot of these organizations that want to take a lot of credit for some of the stuff, about gun violence and game. We did that, we did this. They coming on videos and everything saying that. And those individuals, their lives haven't really changed, right? And you can't lead anybody where you have not been. So it's really about changed lives. That's what we want to see, lives that are changed. And that's what Jesus always talked about, where he said the gospel was about repentance, right? And forgiveness of sin. Repentance is always talking about a change, right? A change of mindset. And so that's what we want to see, change lives, right? And that's what we should be striving for. So when people start talking about that, look at their life, look at what they're living, and also look at what change have they brought? Because a lot of these organizations, I should say some of these organizations are not bringing any change in anybody's life, right? They just using them for clout and using them to promote themselves and get more money for their programs. That's about it. But what it's really about, and what I'm about, and the people that I work with is about change lives. We want to see people's lives change. And when you can reach that population that is out there committing the violence against each other and get them to start changing, and they help other people to change, and they help other people to change, you'll see a changed community, right? So don't get hyped up about violence being low and there's not a lot of gang violence and all those type of things and so forth, because especially in San Diego, it's a very volatile city and region, and anything can jump off at any moment. All right, so it's about change lives. That's a point I want to make. During Black History Month, let's think about helping people change their lives. We can work with them when they get out of prison, they give them their package, give them housing, give them jobs, help them with all these different things, right? But if you don't help them change their life, right, we're still gonna have these problems in our community, right? With a gangster mindset and attitude, and eventually they're going to pass that down to the younger generation. And a lot of that is happening now, where you have some of these OGs that's really the ones that's trying to encourage the youngsters to go out there and commit the violence, and that's because they haven't changed. And so it's about change lives. All right, I'm rambling enough. God bless you, and have a great day.